Amaka stared at the tall iron gate of her aunt's compound, clutching her small bag of belongings, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and hope. She had been just 12 when her parents died in a tragic car accident, leaving her in the care of Auntie Neka, her mother's only sister. At first, Amaka had been relieved, thinking she was lucky to have family willing to take her in. She believed she would be loved, protected, and given the chance to continue her education. But her dreams began to crumble the moment she stepped into the house. Life in Auntie Neka's home was nothing like she imagined. During the day, she smiled and told neighbors how much she loved Amaka, boasting about how she was giving her niece a better life. But behind closed doors, it was a different story. Amaka became the house help. Every morning, she woke up before dawn to clean, cook, wash clothes, and get Neka's 3 children ready for school. While her cousins went off to school in neat uniforms, Amaka was left behind, scrubbing the floors and fetching water. She watched them from the gate, her heart sinking every time she saw the school bus drive away without her. At night, Amaka slept on a thin mat in the corner of the kitchen, her body aching from the day's work. Sometimes she cried quietly, hugging herself, wondering what she had done to deserve such treatment. Whenever she tried to ask Auntie Neka about returning to school, she was met with harsh words and slaps. "You think life is easy? You should be grateful I took you in. Who will feed you if not me?" her aunt would snap, her eyes flashing with anger. It didn't matter how hard Amaka worked, it was never enough. If she missed a spot while cleaning or forgot to iron a shirt, Neka would unleash her fury, yelling and sometimes hitting her with anything within reach. Amaka endured it all, hoping that if she kept quiet and worked hard, her aunt's heart might soften one day. But that day never came. Things took a dark turn one rainy afternoon. Amaka had just finished washing a pile of clothes when Neka stormed into the backyard, her eyes wild with rage. "Where is my gold necklace?" she screamed. Confused and scared, Amaka stammered, "I don't know, Auntie." "I haven't seen it." Neka didn't listen. She dragged Amaka inside, accusing her of stealing the necklace. Despite her tears and pleas of innocence, Neka was relentless. She searched Amaka's tiny bag, shook her down, and then, without any proof, announced to the whole compound that Amaka was a thief. The neighbors gathered around, some whispering in sympathy, others shaking their heads in judgment. Amaka stood there, her face wet with tears, her heart shattered into pieces. By evening, Neka had packed Amaka's few clothes into a black nylon bag and pushed her out the gate. "Don't ever come back here again," she spat. The gate slammed shut, leaving Amaka standing in the cold, her bare feet soaking in the muddy water. She clutched the bag to her chest, feeling numb and lost. She wandered the streets aimlessly, too ashamed to face anyone she knew. Lagos at night was a different world, harsh, dangerous, and unforgiving. Hungry and exhausted, she finally found a corner near a closed shop and curled up there, her stomach growling, tears streaming down her face. She had no idea where to go or what to do next. All she knew was that her own blood had thrown her out like trash. As she lay there, staring at the dark sky, Amaka felt a strange mixture of pain and determination rise within her. She didn't know how, but deep down, something whispered that her story wasn't over yet. Fate had other plans for her, and this was just the beginning. Amaka woke up to the blinding sunlight and the distant noise of honking cars. Her body was sore from sleeping on the hard pavement, her stomach cramping from hunger. She hadn't eaten in 2 days and her legs trembled as she stood up. Determined to keep moving, she wandered through the bustling streets of Lagos, her eyes scanning every corner for any opportunity, any place where she might find work or food. By afternoon, weak and dizzy, she stumbled upon a small but busy buka with the sign Obasi Catering Services painted in bold letters. The aroma of freshly cooked jollof rice and fried plantain drifted out to the street, making her stomach growl louder. Amaka hesitated at the entrance, clutching her torn bag tightly. Inside, she saw a middle-aged woman, round and cheerful-looking, barking orders at her staff while serving food to customers. Mustering her last bit of courage, Amaka stepped forward. "Auntie, good afternoon," she said, her voice shaking. "Please, I'm looking for work, anything at all. I can wash plates, clean, please, anything." The woman turned to look at her, eyes narrowing in curiosity. "What's your name?" she asked. "Amaka," she replied softly, eyes downcast. Mrs. Obasi studied the thin, tired girl standing before her. Something about Amaka's desperation tugged at her heart. She called over one of her workers. "Give her food first," she said. "Let her eat before we talk." Amaka's eyes filled with tears of gratitude as a plate of steaming food was placed before her. She ate hungrily, the taste of real food reviving her spirit. When she finished, Mrs. Obasi sat beside her and asked her story. Amaka poured her heart out, her parents' death, her aunt's cruelty, and how she ended up on the street. Mrs. Obasi sighed deeply. "You can stay here," she said. "I don't have much, but I'll give you food and a place to sleep. In return, you'll work hard. No laziness." Amaka nodded eagerly, her heart pounding with relief. "Thank you so much, Ma. I promise I'll work very hard." And she did. From that day forward, Amaka threw herself into the work. She started by washing plates and cleaning the kitchen, always the first to arrive and the last to leave. Slowly, Mrs. Obasi began teaching her how to cook large portions, manage supplies, and even handle customers. Amaka was a quick learner, and within a year she was running entire events, organizing food deliveries, and earning the trust of big clients. One Saturday during a wedding event, a well-known lifestyle blogger named Cici Bella happened to attend. She was struck by Amaka's professionalism and tireless energy. Curious, she pulled Amaka aside and asked her story. At first hesitant, Amaka finally shared her journey, from being orphaned to becoming homeless, and now rebuilding her life. Cici Bella was moved and decided to write a detailed post about Amaka's resilience, sharing it with her massive online audience. Within hours, Amaka's story went viral. Messages of support poured in. People wanted to meet her, brands reached out to collaborate, and TV stations called for interviews. Amaka, once a street girl, was suddenly a sensation. With Mrs. Obasi's blessing, Amaka started her own small catering business, Amaka's Kitchen. Thanks to the publicity, her brand grew faster than she imagined. Soon, she was catering high-profile events, winning awards, and inspiring young girls across Nigeria. She moved into her own apartment, hired staff, and even began mentoring other young women in difficult situations. But just as her life seemed perfectly on track, a familiar figure appeared at her office one morning. It was Nneka. She looked nothing like the proud woman Amaka remembered. Her face was tired, her clothes worn out. She had lost her job, her husband had abandoned her, and debts were piling up. With tears in her eyes, Nneka fell to her knees. "Amaka, please," she begged. "I know I wronged you. I have nothing left. Please help me." Amaka stared at her aunt, a flood of old memories rushing back, every slap, every insult, every night of tears. She clenched her fists, her heart torn between anger and pity. Fate had indeed turned the tables, and now the decision lay in Amaka's hands. Would she take revenge or rise above it all? Amaka sat silently across from her aunt in the office, her eyes steady and unreadable. Nneka sobbed quietly, her head bowed, ashamed of the position she now found herself in. The office was filled with an uncomfortable tension, made even heavier by the cameras rolling in the background. News of Amaka's rise and Nneka's sudden appearance had caught public attention, and reporters were eager to witness what Amaka would do next. For a long moment, Amaka said nothing, watching the woman who had once thrown her out without mercy. She remembered everything, her childhood ripped away, the endless chores, the hunger, the humiliation of being falsely accused and kicked out like trash. The pain was still there, but standing in her own office surrounded by her thriving business and loyal staff, Amaka realized something. She had won. She didn't need revenge to prove her strength. She finally spoke, her voice calm but firm. "Auntie Neka, I can't forget what you did to me. You broke me in ways I never thought I could heal. But I also know that if not for that hardship, I wouldn't be here today." Neka looked up, eyes red and pleading. "Please, Amaka, I've lost everything. I don't know where else to turn." Amaka leaned back, taking a deep breath. "I'm going to help you settle your debts and get back on your feet. Not because I owe you, but because I choose to rise above the hate and bitterness. But let's be clear. This doesn't mean things will ever be the same between us. I have my own life now, and I've built it without you." Gasps rippled through the room as reporters captured every word, amazed by Amaka's grace and maturity. Neka broke down completely, tears streaming down her face, whispering thanks over and over again. Amaka stood up and signaled to her assistant, "Make the arrangements, clear her debts, and find her a small apartment to start over." After that day, Amaka's story reached even greater heights. Headlines praised her strength and compassion, and her business soared. Clients flooded her inbox with bookings, inspired by not just her food, but the woman behind the brand. Amaka's Kitchen expanded into multiple cities, with franchises opening nationwide. Amaka began hosting empowerment seminars for young girls, sharing her story and teaching them how to rise above their struggles. She never forgot Mrs. Obasi, who remained by her side as a mentor and friend. Together, they launched a foundation aimed at supporting homeless and abandoned girls, offering them shelter, education, and job training. Amaka found joy in watching others grow, knowing she was making a real difference. Though Neka tried at times to rebuild their relationship, Amaka kept her distance. She supported her financially when necessary, but maintained firm boundaries. She had learned the hard way that forgiveness didn't mean allowing toxic people back into your life. One evening, as Amaka stood on the balcony of her penthouse overlooking the glittering Lagos skyline, she reflected on how far she had come. From a helpless girl crying on the cold streets to a powerful businesswoman admired across the country, her journey had been filled with pain, but also purpose. She realized now that fate had used every trial to mold her into the woman she was destined to become. Her phone buzzed with another TV interview request, but she put it aside for a moment, savoring the quiet victory of her life. Amaka smiled, tears of gratitude shining in her eyes. No matter how deep the betrayal, true destiny could not be destroyed. She was living proof of that, and her story was far from over. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more teachable and inspiring folk tales by FE.